We have something from one of our fans out there, and I love that you write it. Yeah, no, they said they're a fan.
They said they're a fan?
Yeah. First of all, congratulations. I'm binge watching all of your videos, and I love them. I especially love to see how Cathy gets more and more confident with time. You're awesome. Thank you. And it was. My first ones were like, oh. Second, I'm a question. I'm a cis woman in a long-term relationship with a guy who is more than okay with me hooking up with other women. Mm-hmm. However, I have a hard time not coming under the radar because everyone sees me as straight. Not blaming them, I do have a boyfriend. And once I decide a girl attracts me, I feel creepy going to lesbian mode and trying to flirt with her. How can I signal I also like women, and particularly them, individual ones, without being creepy or handing out business cards? I also have a hard time flirting this, but this seems to be ultra hard with trying not to be creepy. And so thank you so much for writing in. I'm here with Reid from ReidAboutSex.com.
Well, obviously, you just tell them you're a fan of ours, and that solves everything. This is Cathy Bartuli from the IntimacyDojo.com. Cathy, your advice, go.
So I actually am going to steal your advice. Was that okay?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You stole everything else.
Sorry, guys. He's having an emotional day. Yeah. So I actually, Reid taught me this, but I will go up to someone and say, hey, and I usually mention something about them that's not physically appearance. Like I really loved how warm your smile is, or your eyes are just really, warm and inviting. I'm wondering if I could flirt with you a little. I usually don't like to use something like, oh, your dress is really pretty, or your hair, you're really beautiful, because I feel like a lot of people get that and it's a little bit trite after a while. Find something that really genuinely attracts you about them. Your laugh was really infectious. I'd like to get to know you a little better, and I kind of like to flirt. Is it okay if I do that badly with you? And so that lets them know what I'm trying to do, and I let them know that I'm awkward at it. So if it comes across creepy, it's mostly because I'm just really bad at flirting too. But that advice has worked for me another number of times. Mm-hmm. So just going up and saying, hey, another thing is just to say, hey, I know, you just share what your problem is. Like go to someone and say, hey, I find myself kind of attracted to you, and one of my problems is because I have a boyfriend, a lot of people think I'm straight. I'm not, and is it okay if I flirt with you?
So flirting has a lot to do with building connection or relatedness, and then in the way that I do it, making clear what your agenda is or your objective, and then in doing it in a way that's an invitation for people to be playful with you. Mm-hmm. Because for me, flirting is about being playful with another human being, in inviting them to be playful back. But because we live in at least I'll speak for the United States, in American culture, we are not good with flirting, mm-hmm. because there's all these rules, and people feel like it can't be controlled, and it spirals out. And what if I give mixed messages? Okay. And then, if I'm a woman and a guy thinks I'm flirting with him, but I'm not, then he might get upset. And, there's all kinds of bullshit, sexist bullshit about that. So the big thing is letting people know what you would like to do, and inviting them to do it along with you. And, as awkward as that seems, it's for a lot of people who can get up the courage to do that, it reorients what's happening. Mm-hmm. And if you're worried about what people are going to think, then I would add that in a way as like, hey, I'm practicing flirting. I would like to flirt with you, and I'm worried that you'll think I'm straight. Would you mind us practicing together? And then and again, like with a little bit of practice, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know what to say, because it's just kind of obvious to say what's obvious. But we're so worried about what other people are thinking, and we're trying to calibrate to what we think the other person will be okay with, that it's really hard for us to capture our own obviousness, if that made sense. So with a little bit of practice, you don't need a script, you just need to kind of lead with what's true. Mm-hmm. And then do it in a way that's not creepy, which is usually you're trying to hide something. Mm-hmm. So if you have a concern and you didn't own up to it, that can occur, like something's weird.
Or you're trying to appear very suave when you don't feel
suave. Yeah, like you're
at
not
all.
being authentic. So when you're trying to hide something, the other thing that can occur as creepy, air quotes, is when people are starving for something or so worried about being crushed that there's this like this energy about it that when you try to talk to somebody, a lot of people who are sensitive to that are just like, what the fuck is going on?
I've been there, done that.
That tends to be creepy in those two instances. The other kinds of things that tend to put people off are something that is so clunky that people then fear for their lives. Like if, it's kind of like the stumbling drunk. Like you're like, whoa, and then you're worried that they're going to crash into you kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. So there's like the social awkward crashing into me. That could be another thing. And I mean, there's probably a gazillion. And then off the top of my head, the other thing is when you haven't hung out with enough people who are neurotypical, who are just, either they're kind of on the Asperger's spectrum or, whatever. They're just different. And you haven't hung out. Maybe you didn't grow up with friends like this, or you've never hung out with people like this. So somebody doesn't know what's happened. Like they're like, what is happening? The other thing is people who are high. I don't really get high. So sometimes people are talking to me and I'm like, what's going on? And then a friend is like, that person is stoned out of their mind or tripping out of their mind. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Yeah. So those are different versions of creepy. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like, for this person who wrote this email, that, and thank you for your emails, that if you lead with just being vulnerable and being inviting and playful, you'll probably be fine. And
a bonus tip, start practicing with some people that you're not ultra crushed out on, because it's so hard to flirt with people you're ultra crushed out on if you haven't gotten some practice with. So like find some people that you would like to flirt with that you're genuinely interested in, but they're interesting at a 3 or 4, not a 12.
Yeah. And if you're you're trapped in an elevator with somebody who you're having a crush on, just tell them. Just be like, I might act a little weird around you because I have a huge crush on you. I will try to be as savvy as I can with that. And by the way, I would like to flirt with you. A lot of people think I'm straight. I'm not. Would you mind me flirting with you? And then you just look at them like this. Because you're trapped in the elevator, remember? That's what I would do. What are your comments? What do you think about this situation? And we also have a lot of flirting advice on this channel, so you just do a channel search for flirting.
Yeah. Thanks so much for writing in. I hope you enjoyed the videos, and leave some more comments. We'll try to get to them.
Hit subscribe.